Hello, this is Soundout here, back with another DC Universe Classics review of sorts. Today we're looking at Matty Collector's Watchmen line, first figure, Rorschach. Now, a little backstory on this toy line, or figure line. Back in 2001, DC Direct was going to release a set, a couple waves of comic-accurate Watchmen figures. It looked really nice, and everyone wanted them. And Alan Moore did not approve them, so they never got released. Of course, DC Direct did do 2 series of Watchmen figures for the movie in 2009, but we've never gotten comic-accurate Watchmen figures. But Matty Collector pulls through again. Sometimes they're hard to deal with, but most of the time they do things cool like this, where we have a comic-accurate Watchmen line and a subscription to boot. The Club Black Friday subscription will get you all 6 figures being released this year, one every 2 months, and it is, of course, the 6 Watchmen. So we're starting with Rorschach, who was our January figure. Now, this is the mailer box. And if you've ever seen a Matty Collector, a video, a review of a Matty Collector item from me, you notice that they come in these kind of boxes, these white standard logo and name boxes. No, this one's a full-color mailer box. So you got the Watchmen name, you got Rorschach, you got a Page Curl DC logo with yellow. You also have the Doomsday Clock, and this is Adult Collector. Doomsday Clock, which features the time at 11:42. Now, why is it at that time instead of 5 minutes to Doomsday, which is pretty much what we saw throughout the entire comic and movie for that matter? On the side, you have part of Who Watches the Watchmen. It is yet to be seen if this will be some kind of collect and connect packaging type deal. We'll find out in March when Dr. Manhattan comes out. On the back, warning, small parts may be generated. On this side, you got various Rorschach ink blots. Now, if you do not know what Watchmen is, it is the story that influenced a lot of the mature comics of the modern era. Was a departure from kid-friendly comics, and if you're under the age of 17, don't read it. Wait till you're 17. And if you're over the age of 17, it's really good. You should read it. It's not like the most visually spectacular comic I've ever read, but the story and the characters and how it progresses is really, really neat. I do enjoy the story. But enough about Watchmen. Let's talk about Rorschach. Now, I'm delaying this a bit because what surprises me is let's go more some backstory. I know I'm spending a lot of time on the packaging. Regular DC Universe figures for the Club Infinite Earth subscription, it's $18 a figure for subscribers. These Watchmen figures for Club Black Friday are $25 a figure. And the only extra accessory they seem to come with is stands. A set of DC Universe Infinite or Club Infinite Earth figures, they have one accessory, maybe 2. This one has one accessory and a stand. Where does that extra $7 go? Well, aside from the beautiful mailer box here, be pleased to find out that instead of finding a standard box that has the Watchmen logo, maybe Rorschach's picture, you could see him inside. No, we get this. It's a book. I get a kick out of this packaging. It is a book. Now, they said they were going to design the packaging for these figures around the Absolute Watchmen thing, and it makes more sense nowadays. It's like, well, how are they going to do that? Outer cover, inner cover's a book. That's just great. So you got the classic Watchmen cover from the graphic novel with the blood splatter. Rorschach. On this side, you got a picture of Rorschach and Watchmen. On the back, you got a because I kept doing that. Also the DC Comics logo. And here's the best part. You open it up here, and there's Rorschach, and there's his bio card. How about that for packaging? Like, this is cool. This is seriously some of the coolest packaging I've seen Matty Collector do since the Wonder Twins, or the Swamp Thing packaging, or the Dark Knight Batcave. Matty Collector, you do good packaging. And this is really neat. The figure is held in by the plastic. There's a rubber band around his feet. That's about it. Everything else is held in. He's got this cool open box. You could display your figures like this if you wanted. You don't even have to take them out. But, of course, we're going to take it out. And let's take a look at the bio card here. It just kind of rests in that tray. This is a new art piece of Rorschach. Interestingly, they didn't go with the face design they actually picked for his mask. So you got Rorschach. On the back, you have his bio. Resourceful, righteous, unpredictable. He was born Walter Joseph Kovacs into a world that abused him. His mother, a prostitute devoid of any maternal love, was prone to fits of violence against her young son. Children bullied him, but he fought back with a terrifying ferocity. As he grew older, Kovacs focused on the immorality he saw in the world around him, and as a disgusting plague. He set out to savagely cleanse the befouled city, becoming the mass vigilante Rorschach. So, without further ado, let's take a look at Rorschach. I just get a kick of being able to just take the figure out of the packaging like this, without much effort at all. As you can see, he does have an accessory, and he does have a stand. Alright, so here is Rorschach, easily the most recognizable character from this series. He is the first one in the subscription, and I think it really works, as he was technically the first one we saw in costume in the story. Of course, yeah, I think he was the first who we saw. Now, they didn't go in order of appearance. I think they're saving the comedian for the end. But here is Rorschach. Now, you may notice that he uses parts from DC Universe Classics, which is why I called it a DC Universe Classics review when I was introducing this video. Specifically, he does share some parts with the Question, that being the shoes, the pants, the inner jacket part, the arms the upper arms, and that's about it. You'd think the head, faceless mask, but you may notice Question has hair, Rorschach does not. Very nice that they gave him a new head. And they are $7 more. I'd expect that something like that. So, anyways, taking a look at the figure. Despite being a reuse of parts, he does have a new head. Now, the hat is not removable, the mask is not removable, and it does not change. There really was no way of doing this unless they gave him 14 alternate heads, and yeah, that wouldn't have made this budgetable. But you can see there is a slight paint mishap. There's a little white spot on mine. It's barely noticeable. But you can see it does look like there's a face underneath the mask. So you can see he does have his little scarf. He's got his coat, which a really nice touch they didn't need to do was the buttons missing. That's something they didn't need, but really was really nice. All the details are really nice. There is some glue visible on here, but the trench coat looks really nice. Now you may notice this is a new strap they molded on. This is a broken strap they molded on. That's so clever. I love the little details in Matty Collector figures. The little details are the most intriguing. They have the striped pants with the shoes, and overall looks very nice. I'm going to go out and say that this is the best Rorschach figure we've ever gotten, because the only other one, well, in this scale, was the DC Direct movie Rorschach, who had no leg articulation. Fail. But despite that, we don't have much new leg articulation, but it is some. From the top, he's got a head that really moves left and right more than it does up and down. Kind of disappointing you can't get him to look up any, but it's You got outward shoulder movement, 360 shoulder movement. You got a bicep swivel, an elbow bend, a wrist swivel. It's a bit tight, like all the versions of the mold. You do have an ab crunch joint in there, but it's, again, a lot of plastic. You can turn his waist if you'd like. His legs go about that far. Forward, back. He's got a thigh swivel, and a knee bend, and an ankle pivot. So, again, Rorschach has lost out in the leg articulation. At least he has some, though. That's one up on DC Direct. Now, I really do like the look of the figure, and I do think it really well represents Rorschach. The hat looks a bit weird from the side, but forward, it doesn't look so bad. You don't have much posing options, though. You can't have him crouching like he did when he scaled the wall of the comedian's apartment. But you do what you can do. Speaking of scaling walls, if you may notice, this hand is open a bit wider to hold his, oh my god, why is that so big, grappling gun. That thing is huge. Now, if memory serves me correctly, that thing was a bit smaller in the comics, wasn't it? Let's find out, as I have the Watchmen graphic novel with me right here, and I shall see how big it actually is. And if you can see it here, right on this panel, it's big enough it can fit in his coat, which means this is quite a bit larger, about twice as large as it needs to be. This is really my only complaint with the figure. The trench coat thing, it's hard to go by. This gun did not need to be this big. It's a Matty Collector exclusive. You didn't need to worry about choking hazard. It's an adult collector item from adult material comic that children should not be reading, therefore they would not want this figure even if you were selling it at retail. But, complaints aside of the size, it looks like the one in the comic. I will give it that. It looks like the one in the comic. It's got the gas powered, it's got the grappling hook, it's got the rope, it's got everything it needs. It's just 2 times too big. I could see some people out there with the Shapeways making a smaller one. But, yeah. It's freaking huge. And it's really the only detriment I can find on this figure that really bugs me a lot in the end is how big the gun is. Now, if you're not reading the graphic novel constantly, it's not really a problem. From certain angles, it doesn't look so big. It's a problem, but it could have been a lot worse. Now, talking about the stand, these are the stands coming with all of the Watchmen figures. It is not just a DC Universe Classic stand in yellow. It's actually the comedian's button type circle with the Watchmen name on it and a nice little peg for the figure to stand on. These are definitely nice, especially when Silk Spectre comes out and probably won't be able to stand on her own. It looks really nice. Now, not much else I can compare them to, or compare them to the question. This is the start of a new line. And if Rorschach ends up being the best of the line, we're not getting a Minutemen sub next year. If Rorschach ends up being an okay one of the line, that there'll be better ones, that would be good. Rorschach is really nice. He's a good start to the Watchmen Matty Collector line. And I'm looking forward to getting the rest of them. We know in March we're getting Dr. Manhattan, who seems to be just Metron, completely blue with a new head. But not much you can do with Dr. Manhattan. And we have seen Night Owl and Silk Spectre. Silk Spectre was a prototype for sure, because she was being held together with Silly Putty, it seemed. And Night Owl seems like he's got the same problem Owlman had with the Cape issue. Hopefully, Ozymandias and the comedian will be a lot better. I'm looking forward to getting these figures. I'm looking forward to having the comic-accurate Watchmen team. They're probably going to be the least dynamically posed of my entire DC Universe display, though, due to their limits in articulation. But I am looking forward to it. I don't mind the $25 price point, especially with the box, how pretty it is, because that's a really pretty box. And the stand and the extra accessories help. I just wish Dr. Manhattan was coming with something else. But you never know. Shall wait and see. Looking forward to that, and stay tuned for March when Dr. Manhattan shows up. I will do a review of him. I will keep up with this line till the very end. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for other reviews, as I do have 2 new franchises I have gotten into recently, which I shall explore in the next coming videos. And be sure to check out hirotaku.com for news about comics, games, toys, tokusatsu, and more. Until next time, saying goodbye.